car is a 1941 Austin 8 four-seated open tourer, which was exported from Britain in 1941. One of the last Civi models to be exported. Last year was 41. After that, the rest of the Austin tourers were two-seater and not four-seater, and they were strictly used for the military in Britain. And they ceased production in 46, is where they were no longer being built.
Tell me about the motor.
The motor is a four-cylinder 900cc side valve engine, and it's got quite a long stroke, so it's a good lugging little engine. It's quite economical. It uses a single downdraft carburetor that's made by Zenith. The system, of course, electrical system on the engine is all Lucas.
Of course.
Of course. Prince of Darkness. Yeah.
Well, this is a 1939 BSA Scout. It was made for a few years until World War II stopped production, so there are very few around. But it was basically a pretty low-level family-type vehicle. Its main features that makes it interesting today is it's a front-wheel drive system. And oddly enough, I was at a car show a while back, and a gentleman approached. It turns out that we think his father owned it in West Vancouver in the early 40s, and he produced a picture of him at 4 years old standing on the dashboard, and the car was in the snow and it looked terrible, but we're pretty sure it was the same car. And I started restoring it in 1990. I finished in 2003. Pardon me, I didn't finish. I licensed it in 2003, and since then I've been getting the bugs out and trying to finish it.
So I found that interesting. You said when it was built, it was sort of built as an inexpensive family type car?
That's right. It competed against things like the MGs, but it was a little bit cheaper, and it was easy to fix, unquote.
Is it pretty easy? Well, easy to restore.
It's not easy to fix. It's not easy to restore. I would not recommend it.
This is a 1965 Humber Super Snipe. We found it in Burnaby and been sitting for 12 years in an underground parking lot. So we brought the car and we're slowly restoring it. It's a running restoration. And me and the wife, we take it everywhere. We put about 5,000 miles on it this year. It's a beautiful, comfortable cruising car. Nice and luxury for its day. All wooden, real leather. And it's just a nice, comfortable car to own.
So this was actually something that you would have bought if you couldn't afford a Rolls Royce, or were they comparable?
Yes. This was the equivalent of a poor man's Rolls Royce. Mostly chauffeur driven in England, but salesmen, top of the line salesmen, executives used to own these cars. And they come in various models. There was a limousine model of this car as well. So Winston Churchill had them, the royal family had them, and during the war they were scout cars in the time of the war. In Egypt and places like that, they're very popular cars.
Because of their size and durability?
Size and durability, and also the Humber company made all the scout cars for the British Army as well. So very company went right back to 1890 and incorporates the Roots Group, which is Sunbeam, Talbot, Hillman, and all those cars. So unfortunately, Chrysler sent them bankrupt in about 1976.
I bought this bike in January 1964 for $250 in pieces from a fellow in Surrey. And since then we've put it together and ridden it and taken it apart and back together and apart and back together several times. And so I've owned it for 47 years.
This was one of the fastest motorcycles on the road in its day, wasn't it? Or?
They claim to be, yeah. They said that it would do 125 mile an hour out of the box, but I think that's a little bit optimistic. but they were certainly wouldn't sit around. They could move on.
The fastest you've ever had it out?
Well, I'm not going to say that because
Well, it's a hand-built 1980 Morgan +8, and the +8 is for the V8 engine that they put in it. It's a Rover engine. This particular car is the race version with the aluminium frame, which is 300 pounds lighter than the steel frame. She'll do 0 to 100 in around 6 seconds. It's a bare bones race version that they sold to put on the street. And of course, we don't race it, but we just use it as a pleasure vehicle and meets such as this.